Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cabinet meeting of Tuesday, the 13th of June, and we'll make a start. So before we start, I'll ask the clerk to talk to you about the fire alarm system and also about the streaming. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We are not expecting a fire alarm today. In the event of an evacuation, you will hear a recorded message requesting you to evacuate the building. Please leave by the nearest exit. The Riviera Centre staff will assist us. Once outside, please assemble in front of the tennis courts to the seaward side of the building. Please ensure all mobile phones and electronic devices are turned to silence. Please note that we are live streaming this meeting via the Council's YouTube channel to encourage more people to engage in our public meetings. The proceedings of the meeting will also be recorded. Please can I remind everyone to use their microphones when speaking and turn them off when finished. Members and officers who are attending the meeting remotely must use their raise hand function when they wish to speak and to declare any interest at the appropriate time. If anyone attending the meeting remotely loses connection, the meeting will continue and you will have to have the option to follow the meeting via the YouTube channel. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. As this is my first meeting of the Cabinet, and indeed mine as the leader of the Council, I believe it would be beneficial to all if I set out how I would like to see Cabinet meetings operate. I wish to see a more open approach, and although I can operate with full standing orders in place and simply allow just one question only from each member outside of the Cabinet, I would like to operate in a much more inclusive way, and I wish to operate with a much more open forum. To this end, I will be allowing a conversation with the Cabinet member through the chair rather than a single question, which I hope will be far more productive and allow everyone to gain a greater understanding of the issues and reasoning behind various decisions as they come forward. I genuinely look forward to full engagement from all members in meaningful discussion on the matter in hand. Within the Bay, we have many situations and issues to deal with, and I expect us to focus on those. To that end, I do not want debates to steer off into national politics, of which we have no control. Instead, I wish to focus on the needs of Torbay's residents and what we can achieve to ensure Torbay thrives. If all members are able to respect this approach, then, as I say, I will welcome members speaking on as many occasions as is relevant and without any limit on the length of their speeches. I will clearly be disappointed if members do not respect such an approach. However, in those circumstances, I reserve the right to introduce a more restrictive approach to appropriately manage these meetings. However, let's make a start as we mean to go on. Apologies.
I have none, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Disclosure of interests. Does any member have a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest? Please raise your hand. Thank you. Councillor Tyman.
Yes, thank you. I wish to disclose a non-pecuniary interest. I'm a governor at the Spires College, and there could be implications to schools in general throughout Torbay from the items we're discussing under Section 5.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Tyman. However, just to remind you, there is no need to stand up and you can remain seated, but I thank you for the respect shown. Thank you. Any more disclosure interests? Or even disclosable interests? Thank you. Urgent items. I can confirm we have no urgent items. So we will move straight on to item 5, which is Special Education Needs and Disabilities Local Area Strategy. Councillor Bai, if you could present.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And as this is my first go, as it were, as the lead member for Children's Services, hugely excited both items that come before us this evening, which outline an entirely new way of doing things. Nonetheless, I want to pay tribute right at the beginning to Councillor Cordelia Law sat opposite, and all the tremendous work that she has done for children's services. And the approach that we have had over the last 4 years was everybody working together cross-party. And that very much is what I want to see going forward on children's services. Very sadly, some of the ones who participated most enthusiastically on children's services items are no longer councillors, and one of them, Councillor Barnby, sadly has passed away. But I very much hope and see it as my role as inspiring interest in children's services amongst members of the council cross-party. So this evening, the first item of the children's services regarding our SEND strategy going forward. And I want to say again, this is an entirely new way of doing things, putting the voice of the child, the needs of families, right at the heart of what we do. It's a 3-year strategy, extremely important that it has the commitment of the whole local area. So it's not just a council matter, it is for the whole local area, working in partnership with other organisations as a long-term plan of priorities to improve special educational needs and disability services across the whole local area. Its approval through this cabinet has been postponed so that all members can commit to this long-term plan. I very much hope that it will have the support of all members. It has been completely co-produced by partners, including our parents and carers and young people who choose the areas of priority they wanted us to focus on. So in brief, the 5 key priorities are, number 1, SEND is everyone's business, embedding our values through education, health and social care, changing culture and reforming our workforce. Number 2, identify and act on children's needs at the earliest opportunity through valuing lived experience and expertise. 3, understand the needs of our children, young people and families, and make sure joint commissioning supports service delivery and we make best use of all resources. Priority 4, to make sure that all early years providers and mainstream educational settings support an inclusive approach to education. And 5, improve transition planning for young people moving into adulthood. So this strategy was heard at the Overview and Scrutiny Board in March 2023, a meeting which I chaired. And it all seems rather a long time ago now, but it wasn't that long ago. So the recommendations that came from that meeting and that have been embedded into this strategy are the wording in the strategy changed to strengthen the voluntary and community sector and responsibilities of health and social care. The terms of reference for the culture working group have been amended to include more representatives from the voluntary and community sector to this group who meet monthly so their voices can be strengthened. And the co-production of the action plans, and it's the action plans that underpin this strategy, so please, this is the sort of ambition, the overall ambition. There are action plans beneath. These include amended specific actions for the voluntary community sector, health and social care. These key performance indicators will come to overview and scrutiny each May. So overview and scrutiny will have a very important role in ensuring that this strategy is rolled out. There are, however, risks highlighted, ensuring that all partners across the local area commit to this 3-year strategy and have the continued commitment and capacity to deliver upon these priorities. The mitigation against that risk is that we ensure commitment from Cabinet this evening and continued support for the SEND improvement work to be ongoing. The second key risk is to ensure that we work together to support and challenge each other to make these priorities deliverable so that our young people and their families feel the impact of these priorities. It's really got to mean something to children and young people and make a difference to them. So as well as holding each other to account, if they are not delivering on these actions. So it's important that we hold each other to account if we are not delivering on the strategy. So the mitigation, the action plans are being co-produced with all partners, young people and parents, carers, and these will sit behind each priority and will detail clear actions tasks, including those who needs to fulfill them by time limits. Upon completion, these are being taken over to the SEND Strategic Board monthly with annual overview at Overview and Scrutiny Board. So I want to thank everybody who's worked on this strategy, colleagues in the Town Hall and Children's Services, our Director, Professional Fellow, thank you so much indeed, and our partners who worked, and I commend this strategy to the Cabinet this afternoon.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor By. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Simon.
Thank you. I think I've mentioned my interest at the beginning of this item as well, and I'm happy to second this proposal. All school governors, of which, as I've just mentioned, I'm one, recognise the importance of providing the right services to students with special educational needs and disabilities. In fact, it's an issue on which, at governors' meetings, we spend a lot of time questioning staff, not only on the performance of SEND students, but in their attendance, in the numbers that receive either short-term or permanent exclusions, making sure, as far as we are able to, governors, that SEND pupils perform as well as they possibly can. I've attended, as a member of the governing panel, a number of meetings with parents, with pupils, some of which are SEND pupils, and it's quite clear to me that every one of those is an individual, needs to be treated as such, and that we need to pay real attention to the individual needs that each such student has. This policy recognises that, and for that I commend it. The strategy takes us so far, but it's clear that its success will also depend on the action plans and the willingness of all partners across the Bay to follow those action plans to produce the results that are intended. And I will look forward to monitoring those plans as well as this strategy when they come forward.
Thank you very much indeed. Do we have any questions, any debate from around the table? Thank you. Cordelia. My apologies, Councillor Law.
And I absolutely agree with what both my colleagues over the other side of the table. I'm really delighted to see the strategy here before us today. For far too long, families in Torbay of children with SEND and disabilities have felt like they've been treated as a problem rather than as an equal member of the community. And I think this strategy, as Councillor By has alluded to, it's been 18 months of co-production and consultation with families and our partners in the wider local area. It's something that has been very, very needed. And it's our families, actually, and it's the children and families themselves that have developed the 5 priority areas that the strategy itself focuses on. And I think, and I'd be saying this if I was the lead member as well, I think it's, as with all strategies, like Councillor Tyman said, it's about the action plans that lie behind it. So I look forward to seeing the action plans when they come forward. I'm sure, as Councillor By said, it's something we will be monitoring in overview and scrutiny, though I do think leaving it till next May, 12 months, is quite a long time given the importance of this strategy, particularly with our written statement of action. So I would suggest that maybe it moves up that a little bit. So that was all. I think it's a great strategy, it's a great start, and I look forward to seeing the action plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Law. Just before I bring Councillor Darling in, just a reminder that there are a number of members actually online at the moment, and I can see that. Just to remind you, if you do wish to speak in this debate, you are more than welcome, but please raise your virtual hand, and then we will see that. We'll invite you in just a moment. Councillor Darling.
Thank you. And I would echo what Councillor By started off by talking about, which was making sure that it's doing with rather than to. Driving that culture is extremely important. As somebody who, due to my disability, has been to a special educational school, I know the world has moved on significantly compared to the decades ago when I attended that particular institution. And the opportunity to make sure that young people who do have different needs means that there is that ability to make sure that they're part of the community rather than having to silo them elsewhere. The other bit that I would draw to the attention of colleagues is how, when I visited special provision, and you ask about how many of the youngsters attending that school are on free school meals, how often special educational needs and poverty walk hand in hand, and that's something that I think that we need to be reflecting on as this strategy progresses. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Darling. There is no more debate. So the motion on the table is that the Torbay Send strategy be approved. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. We shall move on to the Torbay Youth Justice Plan 23-24. Councillor Bye.
Thank you. If you'll give me one moment. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And again, work in hand and all about changing the culture of how we do things. And like the previous report, in fairness, building on from inspections that took place in 2021 that pointed the way to how we might do things different. I just want to look up and read something that just struck me right at the beginning that actually follows on from what Councillor Darling has just said about poverty hand in hand. No, I can't find it. The extraordinary challenges of this service and the group of young people that they work with, and the very, very high incidence of those who are within the Youth Justice Service who are from a background of being in poverty, on free school meals and educational health plans at school. There was a particularly good little bit that I made a note that I did want to read out first. So, page 21, I think. Thank you so much.
The joys of technology, Councillor Bye.
It's going from one to another, isn't it?
It was so much easier when we had a piece of paper in front of us.
It was so much easier. There we go. It'll come to me at the end.
No problem. We'll make sure
but
there's time
it was
for you to-
absolutely in the introduction, and I wrote down which one it was. I thought I've got it as 9.2. Yeah. So, you are a marvellous director of children's services. I have to say, you've saved me twice today already. So the bit that I was looking for, when we look at the group of young people that the service works with, an overrepresentation of children who have education, health and care plans. 30.4% of children work with have an EHCP, whilst the comparative figure for Torbay secondary school age children is 2.6%. School exclusions are also a prevalent factor with the children we work with, 30% having experienced permanent exclusion from school and 86% one or more fixed-term exclusions. So look at that. And living in poverty, a further indicator of vulnerability is children who have been eligible for free school meals. 70% of Youth Justice Service children are or were eligible for free school meals, and the comparative figure for all secondary school age children in Torbay is 19.4%. So 70% of the young children, the young people they work with in the Youth Justice Service are on free school meals, or have been. So that absolutely follows on from the point that Councillor Darling made, and I think there are links between the strategy that we've just approved and this, our new Youth Justice Plan 2023-2024. So the production of a Youth Justice Plan is a legal requirement under the Crime and Disorder Act 1989 for all local authorities, and must state what will be done in the local area to prevent children aged 10 to 17 offending or re-offending. The plan must be produced in consultation with the other 4 key statutory partners identified in the Act, those being the police, probation service and health. The plan must be agreed by the local authority as the lead agency and sent to the Youth Justice Board no later than the 30th of June this year. So this really does have to be approved this afternoon. Torbay's plan has been produced to meet both the legal requirements of the Act and the guidance produced by the Youth Justice Board, and lays out not only the performance of the service over the last year, but the improvement plan and priorities for the year ahead. This plan and the Youth Justice Service itself is a partnership between not only the key statutory partners, but also a range of other agencies and departments who all have a vested interest in preventing children committing crimes or reoffending. The plan and the service is provided with governance and oversight by its strategic and operational boards, at which all strategic partners and funding bodies are represented by appropriate senior officers. The strategic board is chaired by Superintendent Ed Wright from Devon and Cornwall Police, who I'm sure most of you here will know. Now, the service has made significant improvements since its requires improvement inspection rating in 2020, but there remain challenges identified in the inspection report that have not been resolved, those being, no surprises, and I'm sure Councillor Law will recognise this, the provision of mental health support to children in contact with the service. So Children and Family Health Devon have been unable to recruit to the CAMS post for over 2 years. B, the provision of suitable, safe, secure site for children to be seen by staff for the provision of the required intervention programmes. A number of buildings have been identified, but currently there is no confirmed location for the service. I'm really disappointed to hear that, because I thought we were making progress on that, and certainly when we considered this earlier in the year, a building which is mentioned in the report had been identified. So additional priorities identified since the inspection is a swifter youth justice. For a small number of children, there have been some significant delays in referral to either the Youth Justice Service or to court for sentencing. These delays have led to adverse outcomes for those children as well as the victims. And other areas for improvement are identified within Section 25, the Service Improvement Plan. But the good news is there have been many positive developments, specifically the development of the prevention service for children to be referred by agencies concerned about children's behaviour, but who have not yet been arrested for an offence. So it's the early intervention. This service has been further enhanced through additional Ministry of Justice funding of the turnaround programme, which targets a very similar group of children. Other areas of improvement have been the move away from formal court disposals to diversionary outcomes, e.g. out-of-court disposals, which seek to provide interventions to change children's behaviour without giving them a criminal record. This has reduced our first-time entrance rate, which is a key government performance target. Numbers of children who are subject to custodial sentences remains at 0, which is very positive, and that I think is for two years running. The budget and resources are in Appendix 2 in the document. It should be noted that this is currently in draft, as at the time of writing we've not had all grants and contributions confirmed, but in broad summary, when cash and in-kind contributions are taken into account, Torbay Council funds about 1/3 of the cost, another third comes from the Youth Justice Board, and the last third from a mixture of other grants and contracts for specific areas of work. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, failure to agree the Youth Justice Plan may result in funding from the Youth Justice Board being withdrawn or withheld, as well as contributions from other partner agencies, which would result in a reduced service to children in Torbay. So I'm very much hoping that this report will have the support of members of the Cabinet this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bye. Councillor Lewis, I understand that you'll be seconding.
I will be seconding, and well done, Councillor Bye, for a distinct report on this report. Well done, and I give it my full support.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, any debate from Cabinet members? Thank you. From the wider room? Anybody in the room? Thank you. Councillor Law.
I'm sure you expected me to say something on this anyway, so is that working? Yeah. I think, first of all, I'd like to start by saying we have to be careful that not all poor children commit crimes. Yes, 70% of the cohort maybe, but, you know, we have to be very careful in what we're saying about that. Children on free school meals are not more criminals than others. I think we have to be very careful. So I have to say as well, I think this is the best youth justice plan that I've seen since I've been a councillor at Torbay. Well done, John, Ed Wright and the team. It really is the best one. It's the fullest, it's restorative, it's fantastic. It's a great thing, and the examples in it is great. So well done, and please pass that on to all the team. As lead member for children, my biggest worry around the service has been that things that Councillor Bye's just raised. One was the premises, which I understood were currently being renovated, and you were due to move into that premises at any minute. So I wouldn't mind if I could have some clarification around the premises issue. And the other thing is, John will know, and Councillor Bye alluded to, the provision of psychological help and CAMS help for our children in the Youth Justice Service. This isn't our responsibility. I know John has worked really, really hard around this. We've had regular meetings with them. It is something I would like to look at through children's overview and scrutiny, because I think health are really, really letting our children in our Youth Justice Service down. I don't think our Youth Justice Service could do more, but without the input of health and them actually providing what is needed for our children, that's a big issue and a big problem that I don't welcome Councillor Bye having to address and sort out, because I know we've been banging our head against a brick wall for that for a long time. So I would like some clarification around what is the current situation with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bye.
Thank you indeed. Well, we've raised this issue most recently, the Children's Services Continuous Improvement Board, but would the Director like to respond in more detail, please? I also want to make a reply to a point just raised also.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Councillor Bye. So, in terms of the premises, we're having ongoing discussions with TDA at the moment. We had identified a premise and we had started work to renovate that premises. It's certainly a conversation we had only this morning at our directors' meeting that it hadn't moved forward as swiftly as we would want it to, and it is a risk to us to not deliver services to children in their communities. The last information we had was earlier in May, where a paper was being presented looking at the various options for the premises we'd identified, and certainly that was including the delivery model for having that premises used for our young people who are involved in the Youth Justice Service. As yet that paper hasn't come forward to the directors or senior leadership team, but certainly it is on our agenda, and as I said, we had a further conversation only this morning that this is a risk to us and it needs to move swiftly to come to a conclusion as to whether that premise can be used for the delivery of the Youth Justice Service to our children. I think there was some conversations about the need to change the planning permission, which I think this morning Director of Place was saying maybe not as specific that it did need that change, but we're going to wait to look at that today after that conversation this morning, and hopefully we'll have a response within the next couple of weeks. But I'm certainly willing to update outside of this meeting Councillor Law as to where we've moved to with that.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Darling.
Thank you so much. And I didn't realise that John Rolfe was sat behind me, so thank you very much to you and your team for all you have done in bringing this together and all the good work that you do. I was not, Mr. Chairman, defeated by technology. I was defeated by my handwriting. The bit that I wanted to read out is the bit that I've now found, and it may reassure councillor Law, and absolutely, I've never thought that people in poor circumstances are necessarily going to go on and offend. I don't want to make a label like that, so please, please, please. But in Ed Wright's introduction, and he is the chair, as you heard me say already, he is the chair of the Torbay Youth Justice Strategic Board. His paragraph, which is what I intended to read out, and I think puts this very clearly, I remain concerned about the disproportionately high numbers of children with special educational needs, SEN, education and healthcare plans, and those known to children's services in contact with the service, the Youth Justice Service. In response to this, we created a new prevention service for children known to the police, education or children's services who would not previously have been offered a service to enable us to prevent them from offending. So it's the turnaround programme, and it's providing help for these youngsters that I think is something that we applaud. But he, in that introduction to the report, absolutely highlights something that I believe should be highlighted. So hopefully that is clarification, and I hope that we will all support this. And thank you very much for your otherwise enthusiastic comments, which are very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Bye. Councillor Darling.
Thank you. And I would just reflect on something that Councillor Bye alluded to, which was in respect of the disposals approach for youngsters, which is a really positive way of making sure that youngsters do not get a criminal record, but are held up and challenged as far as their behaviour and how that could impact on others and on themselves in the longer term. And it's a very unfortunate label that's added to it is disposals, but it is a very positive approach, and the way that partners are able to engage with that and drive that as an approach to avoid criminal records, because clearly one knows that once you start to engage with the criminal justice system at a very early age, it can result in a lifetime entanglement with it. So keeping youngsters out of that world is extremely important, but clearly where appropriately ending up in court is the right thing to do. I'd just also echo the issues around child and adolescent mental health services. It is a massive issue. We know that we are poorly served more generally with our mental health services in Torbay for adults, but it feels that it is amplified for children in Torbay, and it is a piece of work that I hope that we as a local authority cross-party can challenge our partners around this and other key players in this area to make sure that the people of Torbay are served much better than they are at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Darling. Any further comments? In which case, there's nothing in the virtual room. We'll move to the vote, and just for your reference, it's that the Cabinet approves the Torbay Youth Justice Plan 2023-2024 as set out at Appendix 1 for its submission to the Youth Justice Board. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much, and that recommendation is approved. We now move on to item 9, which is the needle and syringe provision and the award of contract. Councillor Tranter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to discuss with you the needle and syringe provision in Torbay. Needle exchange is one of the most effective public health measures and is in place to help reduce the transmission of bloodborne viruses in drug users that inject and the wider community. It is a well-established and essential component of drug treatment systems commissioned in the UK since 1987. Needle exchange is the collective name given to the process of providing clean injecting equipment and the taking away of and disposing of used needles of drug users from locally commissioned sites. These are usually pharmacies and drug treatment providers. A unique component of needle exchange is the physical delivery of clean injecting equipment and paraphernalia to pharmacies and the removal and safe destruction of this clinical waste. We commission pharmacies separately to hand out clean equipment to injecting drug users and taking in used equipment in return. This element of needle exchange is not in the scope for this report. In Torbay, we have procured this service on the open market on 2 previous occasions, jointly with colleagues in Devon County Council, successfully securing a national provider of these services. The most recent occasion was in 2018, where the contract was awarded to Orion Medical Supplies. This contract currently costs in the region of £40,000 and currently distributes in the region of 170,000 individual items per annum. The natural end of their contract will be reached in September 2023. Therefore, a procurement exercise was completed in May 2023, and as a result, the preferred supplier for both Devon and Torbay is proposed to be awarded as a result of the most economically advantageous tender. The decision required today is to support the Director of Public Health in their decision to award the contract to the most economically advantageous bidder as per the procurement process. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, and I'm delighted to second this proposal this evening. I think it is worth noting that this process has been going on for some 5 months of this 2023 and finished just recently in May. So it's one of those things that we need to do not quite annually, but certainly periodically. And looking at all permissible extensions, this would take us through to September of this year. So absolutely right that we put this in place. Been through the procurement. This would award a 3-year contract plus a further 3 years and commencing in October of this year. So I think leave it at that just for the moment. Any questions or debate from members within the Cabinet? Thank you. Move across to Councillor Long.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to highlight in this report, and indeed the next one on the corporate cleaning contract, item 6. I was pleased to see that, and Mr. Denby won't be surprised to hear me commenting on this, that social value is part of the tendering process for this and the next item. And that procurement sounds very, very boring, but this is actually incredibly important because social value ensures that there is more bang for our buck locally and helps ensure that more money that is spent in the Bay stays in the Bay by the council, and that ties in with the poverty issues that we were talking about partly earlier. And I was also pleased to see about that tackling climate change is also part of the contracts that have been discussed this evening. Both those types of issues were very important for the previous administration, and I was just hoping that those will continue under this administration. So that's really, really good to see. With your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a general point as well, but if you don't want me to, that's fine. I opened the agenda for tonight's meeting with a sense of excitement and anticipation that there would be a sort of vision for the next 4 years, and whilst the items on the agenda are absolutely incredibly important, there wasn't that kind of vision for the next 4 years, which I found a bit disappointing. And these items are kind of important but standard, and hopefully over the next item or two, the next few meetings, that vision will ensure. Heaven knows, we might even have something on Torbay Road. You never know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. And I can assure you that our vision will be coming down the path. It's quite interesting that you see that this evening's meeting didn't have much. It was a little bit lacklustre. To be honest, we thought particularly some of the items were similar, but it wasn't something we inherited from the previous administration. But we're not going to go down that path this evening. Okay, so let's go back to the item that we're discussing. Just checking in the virtual room that we have no hands there, and we do not. So we shall move to the vote. The recommendation for your members' reference is that a 3-year contract plus a further 3 years commencing in October 2023 to deliver needle exchange equipment and remove any used needles that have been returned to pharmacies be awarded to the preferred supplier for the contract value as set out in exempt Appendix 1 to the submitted report. All those in favour, please show.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much, and that is approved. We'll move on now to the final item, and Councillor Long will be pleased to know we saved the best till last, the corporate cleaning contract. Councillor Simon.
Thank you. Hopefully a simple matter, but one which nevertheless is important to members of our staff and to the many visitors to council premises. The greatest number of those will be the number of people attending our 4 libraries, which are part of this contract. The existing contract has existed for the last 3 years and came to an end at the end of March. An extension has been arranged to cover an intervening period for up to 12 months, but more likely to be more like 9 months, to which a new procurement will enable a new contract to go live. The reasons for that, members will have seen if they looked at the Part 2 papers, and the transfer to a new supplier appears to be taking place totally in conjunction with and with support of the existing supplier, which is hopefully going to make this a seamless transfer over. I think, do no more than just simply say that we're in a position where tenders should be sought for a new corporate cleaning contract, and the final award of that contract be delegated to the Director of Corporate Services.
Thank you very much indeed. And our seconder for this one is Councillor Lewis. Oh, my apologies, Councillor Tranter.
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. So any debates, any questions from Cabinet and in the wider room? Any debate? And looking to the virtual room, no hands in the virtual room. So we'll move to the vote, please. And the recommendation for reference is that tenders be sought for the corporate cleaning contract and that the final award of the contract to the successful bidder be delegated to the Director of Corporate Services. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much. And that item is approved. And at 12 minutes past 6, the meeting is closed. Thank you.